Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Truck Talk and Time with Jesus. A lot's been going on and we've been seeing a lot of things happen, and I know that everybody's has different opinions of today's economy to last year's economy to 4 years ago economy. But the thing of it is we have to expect evil to do evil. We have to expect what people are doing on this earth now is what God has been showing us. We are to praise Him through the storms, people. Not just when it's good for us, not when we're having a good time and things are happening in the good for us, but even in the bad, we are to praise Him even more. Because He's not going to let us go through a trial or a tribulation that we are not ready for. And we don't go through it alone. Jesus goes through this with us. The power of prayer is very important. I always say, if you're going to pray for a family member or a loved one or pray for something, do it in silence. But have somebody else pray in silence with you, or have them be praying in silence. Write it down. Deliver it to God. And keep praying till something happens. I showed you this once before, and I'm going to find it. Maybe. I know it's in here. Maybe I lost it. Maybe it's in my other Bible. I think I found it. Right there. Push in and pray till something happens. Thought you'd like to see it again. So, you think about it. You think about the election. You think about the debates and stuff that just happened. Now all of a sudden, you want to see God working? You look at Donald Trump. You look at everything he just been through. You look at how they have tied him up in the court, trying to financially bankrupt the man, and people are coming out of the woodwork and donating money to the funds and to his court costs and stuff like that. Whether or not he's guilty or he's not guilty, I have no idea. And to be honest, just like as a president, is he a good president? Was he a good president? Did he do what he said he was going to do? Well, yes. He spent a lot of time on the border. I get that. And I get, we had stable jobs. We had lower fuel costs. We weren't in a crisis as far as food goes and the high rise of everything going up. And he was sanctioning everybody and anybody that has been taking advantage of us. Well, when the devil makes a deal with the devil and the devils make deals with other devils, what do you expect? And that's what's been happening. History is an amazing thing. I was talking to somebody a while back, and they were bringing up slavery and all these things, and I sat there and I said, are you a Republican or a Democrat? It doesn't really matter, but do you vote for one side or the next? And they said, well, I'm not voting Republican because of Donald Trump and what he stands for. I heard that, that he has come against black people and all this. I said, well, you realize how many black Americans that Donald Trump has working for him, and they all speak very highly of him. You realize the people that do speak very highly of him. Dana White just said not too long ago, he was going through some problems. Donald Trump called him 2 or 3 days out of the week. Asked him if he was okay, if there's anything he could do, how's the family. It's Donald Trump. Because we're looking at what people news say. We're not looking at what the truth is. Whether or not he's guilty of what he's done, I don't know, people. But all I know is, and I'm not doing a campaign thing for Donald Trump. That's not what this is about. I'm getting to it. So just come on this roller coaster, slow creep with me here. Let's go back to the Republicans, Democrat. Okay, now we could go back in history and we look at Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. We look at George Washington, the ignorance of that, but he was still also a godly man, and he also did the things by the Bible all the way down. You look at George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, Zachary Taylor. You look at the very beginning of this foundation of the very presidents I just named, from one all the way down. I didn't skip one. You look at them and you go into where the American was founded with Thomas Jefferson. You look at writing the Constitution, upholding the Constitution. But you look at when all the chaos was going on and all the let's break all the white stuff down. I don't care. Destroy it all. It's statues. Burn the flags. I don't care. I'm not saying I'm not American. I'm not saying I'm not grateful for the people who went over there and fought. But I tell you the people who I really am thankful for. And that's the people that went to Vietnam, that served over there, that came back and was spit on and treated like garbage. When you can say that you have witnessed that in your life, I'll salute you. I see a Vietnam vet, I'm stopping and I'm telling them thank you, and I am welcoming them home. Because that's something they didn't get. That's something they didn't get from America. Over there dying and what they went through. I know, because I went through night after night after night with my father that it's passed away now, being tossed through walls and being thrown over stuff, being punched and being kicked and everything else because he's having his flashbacks. I know what the man went through just by listening to his hallucinations of things. My dad was a very, very strong man. But you look at it this way. Let's go to the 16th president, Abraham Lincoln. Put the freedom into all people. He was a Republican. His vice president was a Democrat. Now back then it wasn't like it is now. So keep that out of your mind. He was a Democrat. So what happened to Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln was at a show, sitting up in a booth, and supposedly John Booth came by, shot him. So that what happens, what next, people? The vice president takes over, correct? We're on the same page? The vice president, which was a Democrat, what was his first order of business? To bring slavery to an end and still have it. He didn't want nobody freed. He wanted slavery because of labor, people. He didn't care if you were white, Asian, Japanese. He didn't care what you were. Black, purple, pink, green. He didn't care if you were a zombie walking the earth. Matter of fact, he'd probably rather have a zombie because they're so freaking drugged out of their mind, they would work and work and work. You just got to keep pumping them full of drugs until they fall over dead. Think about it. His first order was to stop what Abraham Lincoln did. So, who do you think really was behind the assassination of Abraham Lincoln? Interesting, isn't it? So we fast forward to where we are today. That was that. Here we are in the present. We just went from George Washington, but to there. But one thing I want to add about George Washington, when all this chaos was going in and they were breaking things, tearing down statues and doing all this, why are we destroying ourselves? I mean, seriously. Majority of people don't even know what Martin Luther King stood for and what he fought for. All human race. But are you upholding what Dr. Martin Luther King did and what he stood for? By God, I do. Because the man was brilliant. He was a very brilliant man. Very godly man. If Martin Luther King was still alive today and Martin Luther King would run for president, I'd vote for him. But no. His life was taken. But maybe his plan and purpose and reason was done here. Hatred, people, is of this world, and hatred is going to do hatred to get you upset and to get you hatred brought into the world. Now you look back, I found this very interesting. I was looking at some pictures, and I was looking at them, and I was looking at what people were doing. They were spray painting George Washington's hair green, and from this area down, red. And one of them had red streaks going all the way up, and I said, my God, they're making jokers. Well, you go to the sinister side of the Joker, which you've seen the Heath Ledger, and you've seen, I forget his first name, Phoenix. And they all started getting a little crazy playing that role. You look at the Stephen King's It, not the original with Tim Curry, but you look at the second part. I don't know who this, the new generation of it. Even that guy claimed to start hearing things. What does that tell you? But yet we sit and watch garbage. Many of us claim to be Christians, but we look at are you truly a Christian? Are you truly following what Christ says to be? You look at the disciples, you look at everything they went through, you look at the time that they spent, you look at the time that they went to the upper room, and the Spirit was poured out into them. The anointing of the Holy Spirit. And here we are, terrified of everything. What if you're left here? Well, in one way, you're not going to go to hell if you're left here. If you don't take the chip, you don't take the mark of the beast, you don't take the thing across your forehead or the chip in your right hand. But you will lose your head. Who knows how long that will take. Let me ask you something. Has anybody ever really thought about Genesis? If God spent one day, 1,000 years, creating one day and forming earth, did it 6 days and rested on the seventh. Now you look at the beginning of the calendar, Sunday, Saturday being the Sabbath. We know the Jewish calendar is pretty much the same because they celebrate their Sabbath on Saturday also. So technically, we're not even going to church on the right day. Our end of our week is Saturday. The beginning of our week is Sunday. We're supposed to go to church at the end of the week. Why do we go at the beginning of the week? It doesn't matter if we go at the beginning of the week if we're not learning nothing. I see more people walk into church, they're going there and don't even care. Why go? I don't understand it. I don't understand why people go into church and don't even pay attention to any of it. I don't understand why people go through all this time and to go through the motions, but you're far from God. You can't be a sinner and continue to repent and continue to do all this nonsense. You're going to be left here. I think about Donald Trump. I think about all the stuff he's going through, and I think about how many people said that Donald Trump will return. I also heard a video a while back where a guy said, and I believe Darlene was telling me about it. I don't know if I watched it with her or if she was telling me about it. But either way, I heard what was going on with this. That Donald Trump would be our last president. Well, if you sit there and watch all this stuff as it started to unfold, we know he got the next election, he got kicked out. Now they're talking about bringing Kamala Harris into the fact and praise Joe out because the debate went so wrong. You bring Kamala Harris in there and you might as well pack it up, people. I mean, for real. What has she done? I've been asking people all over. Name me one thing Kamala Harris has done. They said nothing but heckled like a hyena. And when she does go somewhere, she just repeats the things in a rhyme that it doesn't make any sense. It's almost like you listen to her going, the wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. Who cares? What does that have to do with anything? Or she repeats what somebody else says. People, we are sitting in an upside down world. All I'm saying is, we gotta pray. Don't pray. Don't pray that God's gonna put a certain person in the office. I pray for God's will to bring Jesus back. I don't care if it's Donald Trump, if it's Biden, then leave Biden in place, because I want to get out of here. I'm ready to go. I'm tired of this world. I'm tired of people falsely accusing people. I'm sick of the gossip. I'm sick of listening to people say, "Well, I want to go to heaven, but not right now." And then you hear other people talking about how much of a Christian they are and how much they're going to heaven, but yet they're running around doing nonsense, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. If Jesus Christ was standing next to you, would you do the very things that you are doing in secret? What you think? Would you? If you have to do something and look around and see if somebody's watching. But let me tell you, the spiritual realm is very interesting, because you can't really see the angels. You can't really see the walking demons. Some of you will. Some will very soon. I've been seeing more and more presence of them, more and more. It's a scary thing. I believe now, and I'm just saying, this is my belief. I didn't get it out of prayer. I didn't get it out of nothing. I believe what's happening. If I had to say, and I could be wrong. Now, again, I'm not saying this is Jesus, so don't start calling me a false prophet if it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from the Bible's point and everything I've been reading in there. I believe in my heart, and again, I could be wrong. And if I am, I'm not going to apologize, because I'm telling you, this is just what I'm thinking. This is what I'm believing. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. So bear with me on this. I believe only because of everything I've been watching Donald Trump go through. I think we're focused on too much other stuff, but I'm focused on Donald Trump's last name because of what it speaks about the Trump. Trumpet. The sound of the trump. Now, I could be drawing straws here, but for some reason, the man's gaining ground. Is it because everybody's sick of the way that everything's been handled for 4 years? To be honest with you, I was just talking to Darlene about this. To be honest with you, I haven't even really noticed it. For 3 years, I've noticed it. A couple of times I started complaining about the fuel prices, and then I stopped. I stopped because he who is in me is mightier than that dollar sign on that sign. He puts clothes on me. He's put foods on my table. Do I look like I haven't eaten in a while? No, I hear it all the time. You walk in places and you get stupid little songs sung about you and this and that. I mean, let's just face it. Instead of Batman, it's Fat Man. And I'm walking into a room or I'm listening to what they're saying. And they're all smaller people. So, obviously, it's me. But nobody needs to tell me what I look like. I can look in a mirror and see what I look like. But also, about a week or 2 weeks back, I got some news, and it pretty much scared me a little bit. And not that I'm afraid of death. People, I'm truly not afraid of death. And as God is my witness, may God stop my tongue if anything I am saying is not true. I pray in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God, strike my tongue and rip it up from my face and never let me speak another word if what I'm speaking is not truth. That being said, here we go. I'm not afraid of it because I've been there. The only thing I'm afraid of is disappointing and sinning and ending up in the very place that I've been telling you about. Hell. I don't understand how many videos some people can watch about near-death experiences and still continue to drink, still continue to watch scary movies, still continue to listen to the garbage music, still continue to have people come in their household. Listen, people, separate yourself from this. Is what you're doing on this earth worth your soul and your spirit? Because they're here. They're just giving you shows. The Night of the Living Dead, the Night of the Walking Dead, the Night of the Fearful Dead, the Night of zombies coming to eat your brain, the Night of zombies moving in with you. Zombies are good things. You look at the dolls they came out with, the high school zombies or whatever they were. I don't know. My gosh, there was ones right after the Brat dolls where it was the Frankenstein, it was the werewolf daughter, and they have books basically for their history and all this stuff. What was Monsters of high school monsters or something? I don't know. I totally forget what it is, but they're getting you used to saying that it's okay to be different. Which brought in what, people? The different color hairs, which brought in the gays and all this stuff. You know, it's been around for a long time. I mean, it's just like this didn't happen, but all of a sudden it just appeared itself and shoved it down our throats. Everybody has rights but Christians. I don't understand this. If you can voice your opinion, then why can't I voice my opinion? But yet people are offended. I'm not supposed to be offended by people walking around with their pants hanging down. You can see their cracks and stuff sticking out. I mean, when do we allow this? I mean, I deliver freight and I go into stores and I'm seeing people on their phones watching movies and they're getting paid by the hour by the company that I work for. I walked in one in their pants. Half the employees walking around don't even care if their pants are hanging down. You can see their underwear. Are you kidding me? And people are just turning their heads. Some people pointing and laughing. Some people videoing it, thinking it's funny. Well, what would be the difference then if I put my uniform on and walked into another store and went shopping and somebody took a video of that? I mean, there's got to be a bottom line somewhere. There's rules, but nothing is upheld. You know why? Because this is the number one thing. Well, since COVID was a joke, and I don't care what anybody says. And if YouTube wants to block this, then block it. I'll just start doing everything on my own. Because there ain't nothing I'm not speaking here that's not already out there. And the funny thing about it is, you know, as I've said before, if China does own this, China's probably loving these videos. Because our government is a joke. The people that sit in that Senate and sit up there in their high mighty chairs, when God comes through that place and dumps that place upside down, there won't be too many of them sitting left. Half of them needs to resign. And Pelosi's ran out of there scared, and now she's putting her 2 cents into everything. People, what in the world? I mean, I've never seen a government, I've never seen stuff that people resign and still have a rights to say anything. You know, it blows my mind of how much we sit back and take. But yet, we are the people, we are the voice, we are the ones that can stop this. But we don't. Instead, we complain about everything and anything. God doesn't like a complainer. What does God will for you? How many of you ever asked, God, what is my will? Why am I here? To be the voice, to be a messenger right now. You notice from the time the last prophet and the last messenger, the gap that we had to the 2 witnesses will come at the end. two witnesses will be here. I forget how many days it is now. I'd have to look it up real quick. But they'll be here. They will die in the street. I believe they're going to catch them on fire. And so who is in the between there? Us. We are God's messengers right now. We are not to be sitting inside of churches and just fellowshipping in there and doing everything inside of the walls. Jesus went to the synagogues to preach, but he didn't stay there. Jesus went out to the streets. There is no darkness that I won't go into. Does it make me Superman? Does it make me better than anybody else? No. But you know why? Because put a bullet in my head. But before you do it, let me pray for you. Let me make a couple phone calls and let me be ready to go to heaven. That's my goal. I'm here to serve Jesus. I'm done serving Lucifer's ways. I'm here to serve Jesus. Have I slipped? Yes. Have I done things in the past? Yes. But it's amazing how many people claim to be Christians, but still are judgmental. That will not face anybody. Because you're cowards. And that's what it comes down to. Your truth, because you go to people that believe you because they want to believe it, because it's better not to have somebody in their life that's going to bring truth. An alcoholic sure isn't going to hang out with somebody for Alcohol Anonymous. I almost said AAA. Every time I could have said that, I always say AAA. I don't know. But a drug addict isn't going to hang out with somebody that's sober reading the Bible to them. People break in your homes now during the day. You know, I hear so many people talk about all the weapons that they have and all this arsenal. Okay, you realize people are not going to come by themselves to raid your homes. You're never going to outtake them. If you're left here in the end times, from what I understand, you're not going to die. Even if you don't have food, you're not going to die. Even if you don't have water, you're not going to die, but you're going to feel the pain. That's part of your punishment. And woe to those that claim to be of him and are left here. The visions I've been having, people, and the dreams I've been having for the last few nights have been nothing but rapture. And I'm telling you, there's some horrible things going on. I've seen floodings. I've seen people eating people. I have seen attacks. People coming into people's homes and just raping people. And here I am bringing people into the desert. And people are following me. Why me? I don't know. Maybe because I'm stubborn. Maybe because I could survive. I don't know. But I know if he does leave me, if everything I'm seeing is true and he does leave me, I go off his promise. I go off his word that I will be protected. And I believe that. I believe I will not be harmed. I believe he will show me where food is, and I believe he will show me where water is. And if there is no food, I believe he will pour it out the same as he did with Moses' time. I truly do. I was just telling somebody today, they were saying something about doors closing and stuff, and you know what's going to happen here. I don't fear this job. I don't fear anybody. I come here. They hired me to do a job, and that's what I'm here to do. They can't do anything that God doesn't want done. If God wants me out of here, He'll take me out of here. He doesn't have to have somebody do it. God will just speak it to me, and I'll go where He tells me to go. I've had people come against me. Oh my gosh, since you've been in trucking, you've been in this many jobs, you've had this many jobs. So what? What concern is it of yours? Instead of sitting there, maybe sitting back going, oh, he took another job making way more money doing what he was doing, and it helped his family. Instead of looking at, I've never been without work, I've gone from one job straight into another job. Now, there was times I'd taken a week off or maybe 2 weeks off. Not too often. And I'm glad that we had the funds and the opportunity for me to do that, because it gave me the chance to relax. It gave me the chance to regroup my mind. See, too many people judge. We play judge. What do you think God's going to do to us? Judge us accordingly how we judge others. It says, love thy neighbor like you do yourself. But it also speaks about not coveting things. It speaks about not being prideful and boastful. But we know in the end times that's what we're going to see. Lovers of themselves. People prideful. People boastful of themselves. So where are we? You know, there's many scriptures in the Bible that speaks about the wrong of what's going on and what's happening right now. Let me read something to you. And I know it's not too often that I get into the actual word itself. I just quote stuff out of there and tell you it's in there because I'm giving you an opportunity to prove me wrong. You can't prove me wrong because it's in the Bible. If it's in the Bible, it's true, because none of God's words will ever come back void. Trust me, I tried it. I tried putting it to the test. And every time I was going through something, every time something happened, Scripture came to me. And if you think I'm kidding, which many of you probably know by now, I mean, I've showed you so much. I mean, this is the stuff, people, that I'll get and I'll just start writing down. That he gives me. And I'll just keep writing and writing. I got pages and pages and pages of this stuff. But the funny thing is, every one of these scriptures are on the same thing. How can it be? I'm not that intelligent to go through a Bible and just start pulling out scriptures. I've had witnesses. The next time Darlene's on here and we do a Q&A or something, ask her. She'll tell you. She's watched me write with my left hand. A discernment prayer. She's watched me write stuff with my left hand and then asked me, well, what'd you write? I have no clue. What are you talking about? Because I was in prayer. You know, and some people say, well, why you? Why don't God do it to everybody? I don't know. Why don't you spend some time in the secret place with the Most High, God Himself, and then sit silent and listen to Him till he talks? Oh, Nelson, I got to get to work. Really? What do you do after work? Oh, I go to the gym. Oh, I got to meet the girls, or I got to meet the guys on the weekend, and, you know, we're doing this and that. Really? Well, where does God fit into all this? Because if you ain't got time in the morning, and you're getting up and you're running around the house like a chicken with your head cut off, but then at nighttime you still ain't got time because you got time to do everything else. So you got time to sit in front of a television, you got time to read another book, or you got time to play games or whatever you're doing. But yet when sickness falls, or sad times, or jobs lost, or something comes on, who do you pray to? Oh, I wonder how many people are sitting there going, hey, this ain't your normal thing. You're right. The trumpet's calling, people. That trumpet's going to blow. And behold, the white horse and the man who sat on it. Unless you're waiting for the pale horse, and hell followed with him. Now, one of the horses are coming for you. I believe what we're seeing is Magog and Gog wars right now. I truly believe this. And I believe when Donald Trump takes this office back, I believe this is going to be the last president. And I believe, well, the last president we're going to see. And I believe that trumpet is going to sound. Uprise the trump. Not Donald Trump himself, but the trumpet itself. That's why I said I may be wrong on this. We'll see. Because they're doing everything in their power not to keep him in there. Why in the world are they trying so hard to keep a man that did good to the world? Well, to the United States anyways. Is it because they got dirty secrets? Knowingly that what they've done to this man, that he's going to come in there and flip it all upside down and expose it, and many people are going to lose their jobs. You know, I find it funny, everything they've accused Donald Trump of, files, taking this and this, but Biden had some. I was told that Kamala Harris had some. You look at the Clintons, all the scandals and stuff they've been in. You look at this Epstein Island. You look at all this crap that is going on. I mean, you got actors, you got music people that are raping people, raping little kids, paying top dollar for kids that are over the age of 5 years old so they can rape them. Then you wonder why we got so many missing people. Because they're paying good money to them to snatch people off the streets. It's kind of nasty, isn't it? But yet, how many of you don't check to see what your children are wearing when they walk out that door? They come up missing, you have no idea what was the last thing they were wearing. How many of you don't check to see if your children are walking out the door appropriately? Most of these people that are walking down the streets these days, street walkers, and I'm talking the prostitutes, dress with more clothing on than they do. You can't even go inside of a gym and work out anymore without seeing everything under the way. It's a lust fest. And people wonder why they're getting raped. And I'm not saying it's right, but my gosh, have some dignity, have some respect for yourself. Are you that so, what's the word I'm looking for? Attention. Do you need that much attention? Are you not getting enough attention? Did something go wrong in your life that you got to have people look at you? They're not looking at you. They're looking at your body. They're lusting for your body. And trust me, they sit there with the skimpy little shirts on or the sports bras. You know what you're doing. But then again, I blame the people that are watching them and paying attention to. Like Justin Bieber, same thing I said. When you walked into that circle of nonsense, you could have walked out of it. But you chose not to because you chose to have a music career. When you entered into the devil's triangle, what do you think's going to happen? Now, on that one video when I was talking about hell, and I still haven't done the part 2 to it, not because of what people's been saying. I could care less. I mean, it's a hatred after hatred. And, good example. A couple people commented to me saying, "Well done on the fake crying." I wasn't faking. I'm not a big emotional person to share my emotions out there. I did the best I could by keeping it in. The same thing people spoke about Randy K. Oh, he really never cried or anything. How are you going to tell me what I'm feeling and what's going on in me? I never was a big emotional person. I'm really good at keeping my emotions and stuff in. But lately, it's like God's tendered my heart so much that whatever I'm going through, I'll just start crying. And I'm okay with that. Because I see the hands of Christ molding me and changing me. I don't have to listen to my grandfather and them anymore. Men don't cry. I don't have. It's funny because when my earthly dad passed away, and I went up there and spoke and did what it is, I went and sat down, And I tried everything to keep in my emotions, and I just started crying. I wasn't crying for him. I was crying out of joy. It was over. It's done. I no longer had to fear. You know, many people come against the near-death experiences saying it's impossible for these things to happen. Okay, so be it. Then why are you watching them? I don't get it. I don't get why so many people watch these things and then criticize them all the way down. I just criticize stuff when I see somebody multi-times on multi-different videos. It seems like, honestly, it seems like when most of these people end up on Randy K, then they end up on all these other channels. I remember that rap star guy that, and now he's jumping on all these places, but he's more promoting his music. That's why I was kind of like, why is Randy K having this guy sing at the end of this? And when he was on Randy K, and I was like, it's none of my business. I'm not telling the man how to run his podcasts and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, it kind of blew my mind. You know, but yet, I seen another person post a video of the same guy, and some of the music he was playing was pretty trashy. Now, Randy K is like everybody else. You go off of what you hear and what you believe. I've seen Randy K go to publish something, and then people tell him, and he take it right off. I've seen some copycats on there, and some of the stuff they were speaking, because I've watched them on other videos and other podcasts, and it had nothing. Everything changes so much. Again, I'm not saying I'm an expert on hell. I'm not saying that I've seen every part of hell, but I will guarantee it, I've probably seen at least about 85-90% of it. So you still got 10 to 15% that I've never seen. And some of you may say, well, Nelson, how is that possible? Because I lived demonic all my life. You don't think when I went into spiritual realms, I didn't enter into hell? Come on. People, take a look around you. You know, what's happening right now is everybody's focused on, you know, I hear there's a new show, The Skinwalkers or whatever it's called. And I'm like, stand back. What, hold on a second. What did you just say? And they said, Skinwalkers, Nelson. It's a show, you know. These things form into animal. I said, do you realize how far back that goes? It goes way back into the early ancestor days of these things, of the spells and the witches and the warlocks casting spells to where their spirit will enter into it, becoming into an animal form. You understand what you're watching? These things will get into your pets. They will form as your pets. It's almost like the whisperer I call the whisperer and stuff that could form into an animal, could form into a human, could form into looking like you if it wanted to. It could portray you. Why? Because it knows you. It knows you better than you know yourself. It watches everything you do. Watches the things that you do in the middle of the night. It watches when you go into the cupboards and you think nobody's watching you and you're sneaking stuff out, and then you play the blame game. Wasn't me. Well, that's a lie. If it was you, then you got to confess to it. It's up to you. But that Skinwalker stuff, pay very close attention. If you got a lot of demonic activity around you, and you got things that are going on in your house, and you got people, your children or your spouse or somebody that comes over there and they're into that kind of stuff, start paying attention to your animal. Does your animal sit upright? Does it look like human when it's sitting on steps? And I mean, like, you can start seeing the legs form and it's sitting upright. You know, like, there's no paws. I mean, it's sitting like a human does on steps. The paws are up like this and it's looking around. Then all of a sudden it sees you, then it goes into animal face. Pay attention. I'm not making this stuff up, people. I live this life. I know what's coming. But yet I'm not fearful of it. I know what Lucifer's capable of doing, and I know what he can do. But I know the God that I serve will protect me. But how many of you have that faith? How many of you right now, if you walked into a place, somebody ran in there and said, everybody on the ground, and they pulled out a gun? You understand when panic breaks loose and these people start running, you're an open target. Fear. Because it loves fear. The demonic realm loves fear. The more fear they can eat out of you, the happier they get. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's being serious. I mean, this is getting real, people. Let me read you something. This is Ecclesiastes 7. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of the death than the day of the one's birth. Better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of fasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will take it to heart. And the living, I just read that. Sorrow is better than laughter. For by a sad constant of the heart, content, I don't know what that word is, but you're going to have to look it up. It's chapter 3. Of the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of the mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than the man to hear the song of fools. For like the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. Surely oppression destroys a wise man's reason, and a bribe devises the heart. The end of the thing is better than its beginning. The patient is in spirit is better than the proud in the spirit. But not hasten in the spirit to be angered, for the anger rests in the bosoms of fools. Do not say, where is the former days better? Do not say, why were the former days better than these? For you do not wisely concerning this. Wisdom is good with inheritance, and profitable to those who see the sun. For wisdom is defense, as money is a defense. But the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom comes life to those who have it. Consider the work of God, for who can make straight what he has made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joyful, but the day of adversity consider. Surely God has appointed the one as well as the other, so that man can find out nothing that will come after him. I have seen everything in my days. There is just a man who perishes in the righteousness, and there is wicked man who prolongs life in the wickedness. Do not be overly righteous, but be overly wise. Do not be overly righteous, nor be overly wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Do not be overly wicked, nor be foolish. Why should you die before your time? It is good that you grasp this, and also not remove your hand from the other. For he who fears God will escape them all. Wisdom strengthens the wise more than 10 rulers of a city. For there is not a just man on earth who does good and does not sin. Also, do not take to heart everything people say. Then it goes on about the servants and stuff. What he's talking about with your hands together to that God part, that's what he's talking about, prayer and seeking him. Now, do you understand all this? I mean, you really think about what's happening right now. And I do apologize about not pronouncing some of the words, but I'm doing the best I can with it. The amazing part about it is, you know what, I'm really not going to apologize. You know why I'm not going to apologize? Because the Lord molded me, and the stuff I went through life, I'm right where he wants me. And how much more convincing is it that the things that I speak comes from somebody that grew up the way I grew up, but yet I'm giving you things about life. It just shows intelligence, it shows street smarts, it shows godly smarts. And my street smarts and the intelligent part is like here, and the godly smarts is up here, because I pour out myself to him. Is that the reason why I don't read stuff out of the Bible? No. I read stuff out of the Bible, you just probably don't realize I'm doing it. But I'm reading it so you'll go in there and do it. Continuing on into 8. I say keep the kingdom's commandment for the sake of your oath to God. Do not be hasty to go from his presence. Do not take your stand for any evil thing. Stop. Let me read it again. I say keep the king's commandment for the sake of your oath to God. King being Jesus. Do not be hasty to go from his presence. Go back into sin. Go back behind things and think that you're going to be okay doing whatever you want because you got free will and I'm good. Your good is leading you to hell. Do not take your stand for an evil thing, for he does whatever pleases him. Where the word of a king is, there is power. And who may say to him, what are you doing? But who keeps his command will experience nothing harmful. And a wise man's heart discerns both time and judgment. Because for every matter there is a time and judgment. Through the misery of a man increases greatly, for he does not know what will happen. So he will tell him when it will occur. No one has power over the spirit to retain the spirit. No one has power in the day of death. There is no release from the war, and wickedness will not deliver those who has given to it. And wickedness will not deliver those who has given to it. And then if you want to go a little bit further, it says death comes to all the wicked, all the people. People, my gosh, it's coming. Basically, don't sit with someone that is not godly. Whether they claim to be godly or not, look at the fruits. Is that fig tree providing fruit? If not, you need to get stuff out of your life. Let me tell you right now, if you think people haven't already talked about you, as soon as you walked out of the room, you could sit down in a conversation, you can start gossiping. I guarantee as soon as you walk up out of that room, they're going to be talking about you. Maybe something you wore, maybe something you did, maybe this or maybe that. Who the heck knows and who really cares? Because it's a waste of time and it's a waste of energy. If you got that much time and energy, then pour it into God's time. And get into God's time. Not the earth's time, not this wicked world. The dead will rise. The dead of this earth will rise. Not the people in the graves. I'm talking about the people that are dead to this world. That are dead to what he says right there in the scripture itself. They do not hear it. They do not understand it. They don't want to understand it. They don't care to understand it. because it's foolish, it's nonsense, it's rubbish. We can have Sodom and Gomorrah. We got the devil's playground to run around in, and you people are stuck. Oh, poor me, I'm just going to pray for you. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, you're missing out all the fun. You're missing out all the concerts and all the alcohol and all the drugs and all the sleeping with whoever you want to sleep with. Well, Lottie freaking God. Hell awaits it. See, the devil gives gifts. The devil gives gifts that you think are very good. Some people get a lot of gifts, and some people get a lot of things from Lucifer himself. But I tell you what, it comes with the price. It's either going to come with your spirit, your soul, your eternal life that will go to him, or it's going to come to a short term. You're either going to start doing what he says, or he's going to strip it from you. Now I think about the people that followed God and then fell into Lucifer's traps, even though Lucifer tells them, I'm coming after you. I'm not done with you. You're my investment. I'm coming for you. I'm going to trap you. I'm going to get you. You're going to fall into me because you're weak. As he laughs, as he walks around and walks from you, as he looks up to heaven, claps his hand, and says, what? I just took another. And you didn't take nothing from God. Nothing. Because God gave us free will. All you took is a weak-minded person. Only thing Lucifer does is present it. Lucifer can't stop God. Never can, never will. We give him the power and authority in your life. It happens with your children. It happens with that. Pray, pray, pray for your children, your grandchildren. I told you many times, I hope people are still praying for Darlene and her granddaughter that one day they're going to be reunited. And there's no excuses, because even if taking me out of the equation of everything, I'm not there on the weekends. It's more excuses after excuses. You know why? Because the daughter doesn't want to face the truth. Lucifer doesn't want her to face the truth. Her damnation is hell for the Sodom and Gomorrah that she's living. She will be judged accordingly for the things that she does with her daughter and how she's letting her daughter be raised. Because that girl was very godly. That girl would look out her window and be talking out the window, and I'd say, who are you talking to? God, Papa. Or sometimes it was Jesus. She'd be sitting in her bed playing. How are you talking to? Jesus. Somebody asked me, and it was a good question. Do I feel that when I did drugs and stuff, and certain kind of drugs that brought me into hallucinations and stuff, is that what? No. People, I've seen this stuff way before that. Way before. I did things to try to get thoughts out of my head. I was out of control. You know what it's like to fight demons that's trying to take possession of you? Because I knew once they took root, I was done. I'm a strong man, but I'm not that strong. You know, there's a lot of things I wish I could take back in life. A lot. But I can't. I just have to give it to God. There's a lot of things that I regret doing. I have to give it to God. But you'll find out in part 2 of that hell video that I started. Some of you may never watch this channel again. I forget who. Somebody. Well, somebody used to comment on her all the time. And forgive me. I mean, I can't. It doesn't even come to my attention right now who was, but said that this channel isn't for everyone, but this channel is going to be the one that God leads the people to. And I never, somebody had a comment about, well, you said you would never tell people to subscribe or like or anything. I'm not telling you to. I'm just saying if you like the video, just give it a thumbs up. Because that way, I didn't know that YouTube went off of likes and subscribers. You realize if that was the case, you realize there is more non-subscribers that's been watching these videos than people that are subscribed to this channel. Do you hear me telling these people to subscribe? No. Do you realize most of the people that are commenting and making comments now are people that has never been on this channel? And they continue. Compared to the ones that were there because I don't mention them or haven't had time to answer an email. Then I question what was your whole purpose. What were you in it for? If it's not God first and it's not Jesus first, then you better look at yourself. I can't save you. I can give you wisdom. I can pray with you. I can take you back down that journey and that pathway. I will walk with you. I will carry your cross. I will carry your burden. That's why I give you my email. I've talked to many people through that email. Because it's one-on-one, it's more personal. Because they don't want all this rubbish that goes on here. And a lot of it is. But I notice a lot of the haters have been gone. Because you start calling them out. You start throwing it down on the table to them. They don't like it. Well, everybody's coming against me now because of you. No, it's not. It's because of what you did. Don't blame me. If you have the rights to say something, I got a right to answer what you're saying. It's kind of like a debate that we watch on TV. You have a time to speak, then give me a time to speak. But for some reason, you don't want me to speak. Why? Is it because I talk too much? Or am I going to bring the wisdom of God with it? I don't know, people. All I know is we have to stay focused on the events that are taking place. These floods, these earthquakes, these volcanoes about ready to erupt. I told you about the food hikes. I told you about fuel hikes. And people called me crazy. Some people said, oh, it's just the Biden administration. We don't have that. No, I've been speaking about this right in the middle of the COVID. Same as I've told people about 9/11 and nobody wanted to hear it. And people still get upset when I talk about it. And I start hearing them say, well, I know people there. I know, yeah, a lot of people died there. Watch the footage, people. I know a guy showed me his badge. He was at Tower 2. His picture and all. He had paid stubs to prove that he worked in the towers. Because people didn't even believe that. Oh my gosh, if you got a badge that surely looks pretty dang on official, but then you can't make up pay stubs with it. And he told me when the first explosion happened, they lost all phone connection, all cell phone service, and they locked them in. We have one record of the plane and the people on the plane, and that was the one that went down to Pennsylvania that was on its way to the White House. What about the one that went in the Pentagon? It exploded outwards, inwards, all over, and two security guards that knew way too much. They're no longer with us because I believe they knew way too much. But they were supposed to be doing construction in a small part of it. But yet, none of the grass was touched. The roof wasn't touched. But you're telling me a big passenger plane just came and flew right through that plane, right through there. You notice there was no pictures ever of the Pentagon with the plane sticking out of it. And it didn't go into the garden center in the middle of that Pentagon. Why is that? but we believe a plane hit it and went through the building. But it only took out a small section. We're talking about a passenger plane. The wing, one wingspan was bigger than that area that exploded. You see how the devil tricks you? Because you believe what you want to hear. You see it, but you no longer believe it because you got spiritual blinders on. God's speaking, but you're not listening. God's sending messengers, but you're not listening. When you end up left here, you're going to be the ones that Revelation speaks of. You will flee and hide and try to hide from him, but you cannot hide from him. You can't hide from him now. But you're trying to, because you like Julie down the road and she's your best friend and you guys go to work together and all this thing is happy-go-lucky. But what do you end up doing? You end up being with people that are bashing. You're bashing your spouses. You're bashing your kid. Something's wrong always there. There's always so much hatred and negativity. Instead of finding what you fell in love with your husband for, or husbands, what you fell in love with your wife for, you want a divorce. Because you're too busy hanging out at the gym where all the people that are exposing everything. Well, let me tell you right now. That's how one-night stands happen. That's why they happen, because it's fun. You got your jollies off, and out the door you go. Most people play around with married people because they don't have to go home with them. They get what they want because they're not getting it home. So everything's good. You're good. You go home, I go home, and we do it whenever we feel like doing it. So many people forget in life the things that you have done for them. But yet, you always want to hear the same people say, well, you owe me. Well, when do you want to really sit down and talk about the whole story before you come up with your verdict? People, if Jesus came right now, how many of you are going to look up in that sky and going to hear clearly, because everybody's going to hear it, the names called one by one by one by one by one, and your loved ones, people you know, it could be friends, it could be people from church, it could be your own family members, are gone. Are you going to believe the nonsense into the alien abduction? When you won't even believe the very things that are going around right now. People are posting these videos of ghosts caught on camera. Some of it's just crock. I mean, literally, I can't believe some of the stuff people believe. I literally can't. I sit there and watch some of this stuff. Anybody remember back in the the early 2000s when that ghost video thing came on? And it was like right after The Ring and all that crap came out. And this girl in the white nightgown and her hair was all over her face. You'd see her up at the stairs, and you'd see her over there, and you'd see her, then all of a sudden it went to like video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, video 5, and it was hitting thousands of views. And I'm sitting there thinking in my head going, what a crock. What a crock. Because first of all, that thing appeared that close to you. Why didn't you just grab a hold of it? Why didn't it grab a hold of you? You really think a demonic demon in your house is going to expose itself and going to put itself flat right out in front of you and come running that close to you, just appear in front of you, and it's not going to do anything to you? Then there's no reason for that thing. Because if you taunt it and you play with it too dang much, when you allow that door to be open, you just gave it all authority inside your house. God help you then. Because it doesn't have rules now. See, you shut a door on it when it doesn't have authority, it can't open it. That thing will bust the door down when it's still moving shut before that thing shuts. Some people may say, well, then why does the door slam and things still happen? Do you think it's on the other side of the door? No, it's slamming the door behind it to let you know it's in there with you. Doesn't matter, because if you open the door and run into the other area, it's going to follow you. See how it works? If you're in the basement, you run up the stairs. Do you think you can outrun a spirit? No, you can't. I don't care if you're the fastest track star in the world. You can't outrun what you can't see. You can't outrun something that's in spirit form. What else? And what about Casper and them when they just go through walls and everything else? Oh, well, that's another story. You know, we watch these things called The Matrix, and we watch all these things of the Charm show, TV shows, and all this vampire stuff, and Twilight, and the wolves, and transformation. Wait a minute. People turning into werewolves, werewolves turning back into people, that falls under the skinwalkers. Just saying. And if I'm correct, right, there was some kind of the thing in the Twilight. I think the Team Jacob thing and all that crap that went around. I think Jacob's family, I believe there's some kind of tribal. The same thing that I've always wondered. I've always wondered this. Now hold on. Walk with me down this Twilight nonsense for a moment. If he goes in and opens his shirt in the daylight, you see all this glitter and sparkle and rainbow bright stuff happening here. But how are they standing outside attacking the werewolves and fighting the werewolves and all this stuff? That these werewolves, them are the biggest wolves I've ever seen in my life, people. Them things are like dinosaurs. I mean, look how big those wolves are. You can't say, hey, it's like the wolf man, that the guy that turned into the werewolf. The wolf man was a human wolf. Walked around, ran around. I mean, it looked like a human. It was as big as a person. Not as big as a dang on hippo or an elephant coming at you. I mean, literally, seriously. But how come you go to the old school vampire stories where it's supposedly, you know, in the demonic realm, there is occurrence of that. But they were night walkers, not day walkers. And if you're a vampire, how are you in the daylight and not turning all glitter? But when he opens his shirt, he's all glittery. Wouldn't he be glittery from his hands and his face? Like how come the other ones don't turn into this rainbow bright, glitter? But when he opens his shirt, what happens? You ever notice the guys that open their shirt, or the Jacob that walks around in the Twilight? Everybody's clapping. I mean, I had to go sit in a movie theater with my daughter. And let me tell you, I've sat through a couple of them, and I'm hearing all these young girls ooh and ah, and every time Jacob came on there, and he never seemed to have a shirt on. Did you ever notice they're built because it's the devil programming you? If you fall in love with someone that, because of their appearance and the way they look, everybody changes. Everybody grows old. Except for the people that dye their hair and constantly get plastic surgery. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with dyeing your hair, ladies. I'm not saying nothing wrong with it. I mean, guys are going around dyeing their beards now gray. I shave, and I'm telling you, 3 days later, it looks like this. But then I get ingrown hairs, and it hurts. I've been putting everything under the sun on when I do get them. Except for this. I don't know if you can see it. See right there? That's a brown recluse spider bite. I don't know if you can see